South Australian Premier Stephen Marshall is on track to lose this Saturday's state election, according to the latest Newspoll. Julia Bradley is live from Adelaide. Julia, this is highly damaging for the government. What exactly does it show?
Well, Laura, this statewide Advertiser YouGov poll paints a very bleak picture for the South Australian Liberal government, suggesting more voters are turning on them and putting their trust in Labor and opposition leader Peter Malinauskas. Now, if this does play out at the ballot box on Saturday, it could be a sensational result for a number of reasons. Peter Malinauskas could become the first opposition leader to win an Australian election since 2018. On the other hand, Stephen Marshall could become the first one-term premier in 40 years and also the first COVID premier, if you like, to not be re-elected. This poll, it spoke to more than 800 people across South Australia, asking them which party they'd vote for, who is their preferred premier and what issues they'll be voting on as well. These questions asked over the past week and a half. Now the results. Primary support. Labor is ahead with primary support of 41%. The Liberals' primary support has dropped to just 33%, an almost identical level to that of their landslide 2006 election loss. The Greens on 11% and others at 15% on a two-party preferred basis. Labor is up 56% compared with the Liberals' 44%. And this shows that Labor is extending its lead from a previous Newspoll published on the 26th of February. On preferred premier, Peter Marshall is also falling behind, Stephen Marshall, should I say, is falling behind Peter Malinauskas as preferred premier, 40% to 45%. Labor, it did hold power for the 16 years prior to Stephen Marshall winning for the Liberals in 2018, and the Labor Party going to need to win about 6 seats if they're able to form government in their own right, Laura.
What are the issues that are most concerning voters in South Australia?
Well, this poll showed that a majority of voters in South Australia care most about health and hospitals. They want more investment in the health system in South Australia, and this is something that's really going to play to Labor's favour, given that this is their main election platform. Peter Malinauskas has spent a whole lot of time talking about the issue of ambulance ramping. He spoke to Sky News about this morning.
I think South Australians really want to see the next government have a plan for the future of our state, a plan economically to particularly invest in that next generation of South Australians. But they're desperately urgent for a plan to fix the ramping crisis. We've seen news emerge overnight of yet another South Australian losing their life waiting for an ambulance. And I think people want to see not a blame game on health, but a solution, and that's what we're offering.
This also showed that about 30% of voters care most about the issue of cost of living, although a majority of those voters believe that Labor is more equipped to handle that than the Liberal Party. 8% of voters care about the COVID pandemic.